Arabian beat, and we want you to join us to praise the Lord. So put on your dancing shoes, and we want to say to the Lord today, glory, glory, hallelujah, God Almighty, you are faithful to the end.
Glory, glory, hallelujah, God Almighty, you are faithful.
Say it again.
Glory, glory, hallelujah,
God Almighty.
God Almighty, you are faithful to the end.
You have all power and all wisdom. You have all riches. You reign in majesty, created all things, and you were
King of the floods and the Lord of
eternal God,
eternal God and the great,
seated in heaven.
seated in heaven, but ruling the earth. You have all power
And all wisdom.
and all wisdom. You have all
You
riches.
reign in majesty,
In majesty, created all things, and you
King of the flood, eternal God,
eternal God and the great,
seated in heaven. Glory, glory, hallelujah,
hallelujah,
Almighty,
God Almighty,
you are faithful.
faithful to the end. Glory, glory,
Hallelujah,
hallelujah,
God Almighty,
God Almighty,
you are faithful.
faithful to the end.
Second verse.
Your word is true,
Changes not
changes not. You are in
and eternal, author of salvation,
all salvation, magnificent
King
God,
on the flood,
King of the floods and the Lord of
eternal God,
eternal God and the great,
seated in heaven,
seated in heaven, but ruling the
King of the flood,
King of the floods and the Lord of
eternal God,
eternal God and the great,
seated in heaven,
seated in heaven, but ruling the
King of the flood,
King of the floods and the Lord of
eternal God.
eternal.
A very good afternoon to you. Sorry, apologies for our lateness a bit. Well, we are glad you are here. This is the CJ Scott on Saturday Starter, and it's always a blessing and always a joy to have you join us from wherever you are, your home, your car, some of you probably just sitting outside somewhere, taking a breather and a breeze, and we're glad that you are here. Please let us know that you have joined us, and do us a favor as well. As usual, I'll always ask you to share the host a watch party, share this on your timeline if you can, and get your friends coming in. Because today we've got a very interesting topic that will be beneficial to you. I've got a good panel over here. One of them is not new to us. One may not be new to you, and well, one may be new to you, but it's going to be very good for us. I've got Tina Kitale from my father's. She is a business development manager, or is it
Yes, Business Development Director.
director?
Yes.
Apologies for refusing.
Okay, yes.
You work with a fintech company.
Yes, Pesawap East Africa. We're a payment gateway located in Nairobi. We offer merchants payment solutions across Eastern Africa and maybe in future Africa,
How old is that? How come I've not heard about it?
because we're just a year old.
You're just a year old.
We're just a year old, but soon enough.
All right.
Yes.
Okay. Then we've got Frank Molla. He's been here before. He's the host of one of the hosts of Being 40, picking up so well on YouTube. I don't know how you're doing that, because I've been on YouTube a bit longer, and I can't really do what you're doing, man. How are you doing today?
Keeping well. Thank you for having me once again. Really excited on the topic. Indeed, Being 40 is picking up.
Yeah.
I think it was our choice of the subject, Being 40. We have a lot of people who are getting into the fourth floor, and there's just a number of things that are missing.
Yeah.
So people are quite excited. They're trying to find out, what is it about being 40?
We used to be scared before. When you heard about 40, guys would be so scared, like, man, I'm hitting 40 and I've not accomplished a few things.
It's true.
But you're making it look like a joy.
It is fun. They just say age is a number, right? So let's enjoy the ride. I mean, I like the fact that we have different people, personality coming on board and saying they want to be part of the show.
All right.
Because some people are saying we want to see how we can support you grow the content.
Okay.
Initially when it started, it was more our journey, our life story from 20s, 30s to 40s. But now it's becoming a global thing.
You know, interesting, before I bring in Cebbie, interesting, our primary school class formed a WhatsApp group the other day. And you see, we were in primary more than 30 years ago. So we are catching up. Man, that group, the energy is on steroids. Because you wake up and you get 400 messages. And everyone's like, man, do you guys sleep? But you see, people are in different time zones.
Yeah.
So I keep on telling them, you must remember, we are doing catch up of about 35 years. So much has happened within that time. But it's good to have you. Cebbie Kokeyo, she does a lot of stuff. So I'll let her, because I was trying to catch up with her. I used to host her a lot on the Relationship Wednesday, but I just said, well, let her do her own introduction, because I don't even know what she's doing anymore. Cebbie, welcome.
Thank you so much. Hi, guys. I'm happy to be here today. As Pastor Chris says, my name is Cebbie Kokeyo, well known as Cebbie Kokeyo on all social media platforms, and I used my real name on LinkedIn, Cebbie Kokeyo. So now, Cebbie Cox is, I'm the founder of Virtual 21 Limited company that deals with basically social media management, advertisement, brand ambassadorship. And currently I have JADA, that is delivery service, logistic company that deals with parcels and bulky goods from both intra and inter across the country. So I'm happy to be here, Chris, once more. I've not gone so far. And please don't mention 14-year women. It's not something we are used to. Thank you.
Well, but at least one of his partners, actually his partner in the Being 40 is a lady.
Oh.
Yep. She's married for what, over 15 years now.
Okay.
Okay.
And she's never shy about it.
Yeah. I know there are ladies who don't mind talking about their age. Others think, well, man, 40, there's, you know, when we were growing up, we thought 30 was really something.
Big thing. Yeah.
And ladies, Cebbie, ladies still get scared of 30, right?
I honestly don't want to get there.
What do you mean by 30?
They get scared of that 30, then you hit 30, then 40 is facing you. But I think that, in my opinion, I actually think that 40 today is what 20 was in the 80s. Because people would get out of school then and get married at 18, 19.
Then.
Yeah.
Yeah. And later on it moved to, you know, they would be getting married at about 25, 26, 27. So somebody's thinking, if I get to 26 and I'm not married, I'm old. Now you're 26, you're actually probably just getting out of college or stuff. So that has moved on to 40. It's not a very scary thing, right? Does age scare you, Tina?
Of course, yeah. Of course, yeah.
I mean, it's interesting when you just come to ladies. There's this book by this gentleman called Bob Buffett. It's called Halftime.
Right.
It's up to you to define what halftime it is. So for me, when I was reading the book, I decided to read it when I turned 40 because I felt that was a halftime of my life.
Okay.
And halftime is all about, it's like a football match. Yeah, 1 year to 40 was the first half. Then now you're going to the second half. So it talks about all the things that you've done in the first half and it's preparing you to your second half.
So when does the second half start?
So it depends on you. Me, mine started at 40. Somebody else said starting at 30. So, but you can read the book at any point in time. It has a lot of nice insights around how you need to change your life, pause and look at things differently as you navigate through your second half.
All right.
Well, last week, if I may just move this forward, last week on Saturday, a time like this, the president, you know, changed the curfew times. How has that been for you? And I know, talking offset, I thought I was the only one who enjoyed the 7 p.m. Because I felt like it would bring structure to me.
Yes.
I would get up and I know I'm doing 1, 2, 3. By the time I'm done at this point, then I'm going home. I'm not so sure that 9 p.m. has benefited me. Is there somebody who enjoys the 9 p.m.?
No difference for me, really.
Okay, Frank.
For me, it's, I found myself by default still running home by 6:50.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get to me like, oh yeah, it's 9. And you know, the first few days. But again, on the topic we are looking at discussing from an entrepreneurship perspective,
Yes.
it meant a lot to people in the business because just that 1 or 2 hours changed a lot of things.
Changed a lot of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the flip side, it brought a bit of sanity and togetherness in families. So that one we're also not going to just push under the carpet.
The 7 or the 9?
The 7.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
there's a way that people came together, they would eat together than the 9.
I
So
think the happiest people with the 7 were the ladies.
yes,
I thought I was going to. It's interesting, but you still get still at 7. There's some families you get the wife would be in the living room, the husband would be at a different place. To what she says, yes, some was very positive, but some, my friends, people are coming out of it divorces, but it's a topic for another day program.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, we're joined by several people over here. Dennis Njao, Maureen Wamere, Grace and Bukachi. Pastor, good to see you. Rina Opumbi, Mwariwa Wairegi, Grace Wadera Karenju, Albert Ongeshi, Dennis MKS. I don't want to pronounce that because I wouldn't quite know what it is. Ruth Raburu, Clyde Omondi, Adera James, and I'd seen Geoffrey, Emungat, all of you who are just joining us as well. Good to have each and every one of you on board. Well, today we're going matters business. We're talking matters business and partnership, and you all are involved in business in one way or the other. One of the things that I have noted, and especially like in this season, we have talked a lot about, find something you can do and do something else. Don't just depend on what you used to do before. So a lot of people are in this place where they're feeling like they want to start something. And most naturally, somehow, they would go towards people that they're used to, friends or family, and say, can we get together and do something? But I have seen a lot of relationships that have been messed up just because people came to do business together. Frank, you've been talking a lot about this already on social media. You say business partnership is like a marriage.
Yeah, that's correct. And CJ, probably before I expound on that, I just want to take it a step back. Before you even get to the business aspect of it, by the time you're sitting back and saying, I want to be an entrepreneur, right? And I'll tell you, most of the successful people, the wealthy people, are either professionals or entrepreneurs, right? But before you make that decision, there are two things I always talk about: values and principles.
Okay.
All right? What are these values and principles that anchor you as a person for a start? Because sometimes I can say, I want to start a business, but who are you? You need to know who you are first before you even think of making those steps. Now, when I bring it to business partnerships, is same as looking for a marriage partner, is because it needs the same values.
Okay.
Sure.
When you're looking for somebody to marry, you're looking for loyalty, trust, honesty, commitment, to be able to exchange. And at the same time, when you're looking for a business partner, these are some of the things you need to start looking out for.
Right.
I think people go for maybe friends they've known or family because it's a safe zone to be in. I know CJ, so maybe, but what we forget is, despite knowing CJ, but what are my values?
Okay.
And do my values align to CJ's values?
Right.
And what creates conflict later is because I did not look at who I am, then I went to somebody because assumption of maybe he has money, maybe I know him, and then later conflict starts coming in.
Right.
So that's why I linked it. Business partnerships, the first thing you need to do is get to understand your values, get to understand your principles, and the person you want to go with is the same as trying to get a marriage partner. The values are the same.
All right. Cebbie, you
Yeah.
do quite a number of things. How do you even choose who you work with, who you get into partnership with?
okay, I think before we get into who you choose, as he said, normally call it blue flame. your inner drive. So let us look at it on this perspective that you are not what you do, you are who you are.
All right.
What you do is just a job or a business or whatever, but that's not you. So what you need to do is first define who you are as an individual before you get before you get to the next person or before you choose your partner. He talks about values. I talk about interest. You may know someone, of course, that I know this person. We've grown together. I know their dislikes. I know their likes. But what you do not know is that are they able to define themselves to be compatible? The word is compatibility. Are you compatible? Are you walking on the same path? Right. And mostly you'll find that conflicts arises if communication is not there from the word go.
Okay.
Yeah, there's camaraderie kind of, because you spend time together, you drink together, and then now you start thinking, I can get something from this person. Mostly partnership brings a lot of cooperation. So if you're going to get somebody, make sure that he's bringing something onto the table that you lack.
All right.
Yeah.
You talk about, people drink together, but Tina, there are a lot of businesses that are founded in the bar.
Yes, that's true.
While people are high.
Yes.
And they're like, can we get together?
Yes.
What are the chances of success?
For me, I'd echo what both of them said. It's always about your expectation and how you communicate with each other. Once it's clear what you expect, you're able to tell the other person, like, okay, if we're doing this, it has to work like this or like that. You're needed to do this, I'm needed to do this. We need to have this as a measure of our records, as a measure of our milestones. So you see, when such things are clear from the onset and people understand exactly what's expected of them, conflict is reduced a little. Then, okay, some people don't have the luxury of knowing each other from before. Like, I could be having a drink with Cebbie and yeah, it's all good, we are happy. But what if I have to go to a venture capitalist or a bank or somebody who really doesn't know anything about me? I have to do my research.
Right.
So the research defines all the information that you need, and for anything to happen, you have to know exactly what it is. How does that happen? You have to have the right information.
Right.
So you do your research, talk to people, ask around also, and all that.
Well, what if,
Yeah.
okay, you were trying to do this business with somebody who's either family or a friend, and
Yes.
Anytime you want to bring that issue of structure,
Yes.
that's what I'm hearing here. You're trying to bring the issue of structure, and they're like, you don't trust me?
It's interesting because, now you've already gone down the road, because by the time you're getting to the point of trust, you failed, and these are the things we call blind spots.
Right.
Because, and I'll give you an example, at 42, I have people who are my friends from the time I was 20, and then we went separate ways. But then again at 40 we met.
Right.
But you see, the blind spot here is the gap between 20 and 42.
42, right.
Right? But what I have in my mind is I grew up with this person, so I know him.
Right.
But not keeping in mind, the part you knew was up to 22. But from 22 to 42, 20 years, there's a gap.
Right.
This person might have gone to a mental hospital, a number of things that have happened.
They might have been in jail.
Jails, and then you end up going into a partnership with somebody knowing, like, I've known this person for this long, but hey, that is not the same person that you knew before.
Yes.
I know people go for, friends or family members because it's easy. You really don't there's no stress.
Yeah.
But what happens later is people get into partnerships because of trust. But I tell you, if you don't have structures, after some time, you'll come in here, what is Frank supposed to do? You're 4 directors.
Yeah.
The roles are not well defined.
Right.
So what happens? Everybody is observing. Nobody's really, and it's because you don't have a shareholders agreement. So I think by the time even you get into that space, these are things need to be solved. But also, since most of the people are already there, it would also be good for us to discuss how do they manage that, and how do they come on that, and how can they resolve that as well.
Cebbie, somebody would be sitting over there and thinking, but our business is not too big, so we don't need all of these structures that people are talking about. So they think, well, ours is just something small. We know how we sell, and we know how we go about it. At what stage do people need to begin instilling structures in a business, and should that even come for a small business?
I think anybody starting a business and thinking it's still small should just drop it, because you have a vision, you have a reason as to why you started this, and you want to go big. So the structure should come from the beginning,
Right.
to an extent that you define, you know the limit, you know what both of you are supposed to do in terms of operations. Because the moment you're going to, it's like you want to bend the tree when it's grown.
Right.
So if you don't define it from the word go, and especially if you're dealing with families or a partner, there will be some constraints
Okay.
in terms of how you look at each other or whoever is doing what. So if you're getting to family or married partner as your business partner, then you need to define it from the word.
And if I can chip in there, I always say people need to be aware to get the difference between, get to know the difference between what you want and what you deserve.
Okay.
When it comes to business,
All right.
you really need to know what you want. To me, I find people who go in with the what I want mentality, they'll not have that mindset of I need to sign something.
Okay.
But if you go with the mindset of what I deserve, it's because you've seen the vision of where this business is going.
Right.
So I know I deserve this 2% now, because I know this 2% in 10, 15 years time is going to be equivalent to 20, 25 million, as opposed to now it's 200,000.
Yeah.
So a number of people who go in there with the fact that this is what I want, they get lost. But if you go with the mindset of this is what I deserve, I think you have to sign it from day one.
All right. But Tina, do we get into business for the right reason? For most people, because Frank is talking about, something that is, I should be looking at it like in 10, 15 years, this will build to a certain level. But I think I may be wrong. I think most people get in like, can I get something to pay my bills? So we don't have that projection. Do we get into it for the right reason?
I think we do, because some people have social enterprises and all. Not all businesses are there basically for profit making. So there are people who genuinely want to solve a problem, and to solve a problem that exists in the society for the benefit of society. And they set up legal entities that are run as businesses. That happens a lot. But the prime thing about why people do what they do is there has to be some level of responsibility and accountability. Like, you have to know, when I start doing this is the effect of what I'm venturing into. And it's not only just about me, because everything we do, there's so many stakeholders around us.
Right.
So whatever reason you're getting into business, of course it's always to make a profit, but for people it's the social benefit. There's always an end goal to it. So as you approach your end goal, you have to look at all the parties involved and just see how you can structure yourself and make sure you reach your objectives.
And CJ, if you allow me, CJ?
Yes. Yeah.
I think to me it's a yes and a no, right? And the reason I say that is I've seen people purely getting into business because of ego, because of pride, right? And
what would you want to prove by getting into business?
I mean, we live in a world where success is defined by material things, right?
Yeah.
And the mentality of so-and-so is doing 1, 2, 3, or is involved in something, gives him some sort of status, right? Even though you're not making profit. I'll tell you, most people go into businesses because you want to go and start earning the million the first month. But I'll tell you something as simple as 10, when I was 28, I think, one of the first business I tried was Mkokoteni business.
Wow.
But I was not the one driving it. But what I simply did was, I was a place and my car was being washed, and I realized, wait a minute, if these guys, each person getting a Mkokoteni, I asked them how much was it? They said for one Mkokoteni is 10,000. There were like 10 boys, the guys wash cars. And we said, so 100,000 we have how many? We have 10 Mkokotenis. Per day, each Mkokoteni is giving me 500 shillings. They make around 800 to 1,200. I had 10 Mkokotenis at 100,000 investments. that was giving me 150,000 a month, 1.5 million in 10 months, right? So it's, and when you tell somebody to start a business of mkokoteni, you'll be like, I can't do that. You know, so I think it's a yes and no. Some people go in because there's the ego, the pride thing, but you have to go to the mud, my friends.
I think, just a minute, I think there's also the being a boss mentality. Everybody wants to be their own boss. They do not understand, because what I realized is that a lot of publications of journals are only talking about how they made it or they reach, but they don't actually capture the downfall or the nitty-gritty of a business. So with the current millennials, everybody wants to be their own boss. A founder, I'm the director, I am this, I am the CEO. So it doesn't matter whether you're making profit or not. You are the boss, you are the boss lady, and you're the CEO or a founder. So what you guys are talking about is correct. It's just that there is also a different angle of, not about the bills, but also you talked about ego. So this is where the ego comes in, whereby I am the founder of this, I am the founder of CJ Code. So there is some bossism attached to it, whereas you're not getting anything from it.
Nothing is coming out of it.
Yes.
So, now, since you've talked about that, I'll digress just a bit and get back. So, it's okay for some people to just stay on a job, right?
I think there's a book I read about Arese Ugu, Smart Money Woman.
Yeah.
I actually align my mindset with it, because it's talking with the millennials, the current generation completely. It says that not everybody can be a boss. If all of us are going to start business, who is going to work then?
Yeah.
Could you imagine all of us here are CEO? Then who is going to take me a picture if all of us are on the panel? So I said, not everybody. And being a boss does not mean that you have to start your business.
Right.
You can also be a boss where you're working. You're working for someone, but you're doing your work so good that the company cannot afford to lose you.
Right.
You are the boss.
Interesting that I hear that from you.
I want to disagree. I want to politely disagree, and it's because if you work for 18 years and you're employed for 18 years, for me I look at it like you worked for 1 year and 17 years you were repeating the same thing you're doing. That's how I look at it. All right? And I always say, you know, if you know, when you get employed and you get fixated to the salary, and salary is one of the things that really get us into this vicious cycle where I'm gonna spend because there's a definite income coming in, right? Again, I agree, not everybody can be entrepreneurs, but again, try and look at it from the perspective of 18 years when you're either resigning, you're being fired, the company's downsizing. Your company will keep you there as long as there's value for them. But as long as the value depreciates, you're gone, and they're gonna replace you anytime, any day. So it depends on how I want to look at it. I can sit back and feel, you know, I'm loyal to my company. Is my company loyal to me? That's a debate for another day. But definitely, we have to go out and think beyond the box of being employed and sit back and say, 18 years in company X. To me, it is 1 year, experience repeated 17 times.
Do you agree with that, Tina?
Yes and no, because somewhat I agree with both of you, yeah? Like when Cebbie says everyone wants to be a boss, I think we should encourage the millennials to do this. The millennials need to do this, because what happens when everyone wants to be a boss? There's more enterprise. What happens when there's more enterprise? There's no innovation, no more creativity, which drives competition, and everybody gets something better within the markets they're in. So when we encourage the entrepreneurial spirit and everything, we'll all get it better, services will be better and all that. But in terms of employment, what if we want continuity for a very long time?
Yeah.
Do you want a business to start today? For example, it's your business, you employ 2 people. Won't there be so much pride within yourself, like 30 years from now, you're like, oh, this is Peter, we've been with him from the onset, we've grown together. What if in year 5 Peter told you, no, I have to go. The day you won't value me, I'll also leave. But you see, when there's that continuity and that drive, it actually gives value to your business and helps you want to grow a bit more. And also you as the employer, how you should be looking at it is, how can I develop this employee to want to stay with me forever?
That's true.
And
You know,
I think
yeah.
for me, again, valid points. And that's when I bring something I call servant leadership, and
Yes.
not just leadership
Okay.
in terms of the boss. Why do I say that? Because the definition of a leader is supposed to be how many more people you brought up. That's how success from a leadership perspective should be.
Yes.
And when I gave the example of the Mkokoteni business, I did it for 5 years, and after that, what I did is I told the guys now, please go ahead and enjoy the ride. But you know what happened? They could not manage themselves. They could not self-regulate themselves, because now there's no authority that is looking down and telling them you have to pay 500.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
You don't, because that 500 shillings, you're not paying it anymore. They would sleep longer.
Yeah.
They would be comfortable with less amount. So yes, I agree. To some extent, it is okay for you to start a company, but also see how people are growing, because that's how probably success would be defined.
Yes.
But the thing that I think for me I find is try as much as you can. Don't get fixated just being employed, because one day.
Frank, don't you think, in a way, you have agreed with Cebbie?
Yeah.
Because your employees couldn't go out on their own. When you tell them, okay, guys, enjoy the ride, then you realize now they do not have the discipline. They don't have the personal structure to actually run a business. So your presence in their life was not a bad thing. After all, they were probably making more under you than they would make for themselves. Don't you think so?
It's true. And you see where I was coming from also, to that maybe 20%, maybe in agreement, and 80% no, is because there's experience.
Yeah.
And we all have to learn from someone, right? And we are all good at one thing or another in different ways. All I'm simply saying is, from an employment perspective, let us not get fixated in titles. Let us not get fixated that I'm a CEO, so I'm okay.
Sure.
I mean, CJ, most of the time is when you come to the show, you introduce me as a host of Being 40. And I have a day job, which I never talk about.
That's true.
Why do I do that? It's because when we get so fixated in titles, and to what she said about it's good to have people, to have millennials, CEOs and all that, it's because of this. Think of any Mheshimiwa who has left the position. What I know about titles is this. When you're in that position, you get respect because of the title. It's the position that has the respect, not you as a person.
Right.
So if you're a minister or you're a CEO or a director, it is a position.
Right.
You fly first class because your company is paying for that position.
Right.
Yeah.
You get picked up because this and this is happening. And everything that happens, it's because of the position. When the position goes away, who are you?
All right.
And that's why it's important to bring that brand. And I strongly feel, as much as we are employed and we have titles, we need to split between me being a CEO or a director or a manager to who Frank is.
Yeah.
And that's why I think let's not get fixated to employment only. Let's also try and find who are we and what can we achieve separately.
But okay, but I'll get back to what you were saying, Cebbie, that fixation to the title is not just limited to the job market. It's like, I want to start something so that I am the president of this.
Yes.
I am the CEO of this.
Yes.
So sometimes I'm not even wired for it. I am not built up for it. I don't know what I'm doing. But because I've seen Cebbie is running her own company, so
I want to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think maybe I didn't put it clearly, but the thing is, you don't have to be a boss because you are starting your own business. You can also be a boss at your workplace. Frank says that don't be fixated as being an employee. I'll tell you that there are guys who have actually made it as employees. Yeah, and I look at our Kitambo teachers were really respected, and they are still old to date. They are very sharp, and these are guys who actually brought up all these leaders you're seeing today. So it also depends with the way you're saying that the mheshimiwa akitolewa hiyo kitu, he doesn't become people don't respect you. Yeah, it's the crown that people respect. That's why I said, look at it this way: who are you? You are not what you do. You are who you are. So you need to separate who you are from the work you do. And if you're going to be an employee of the year, and I mean, if you are employed and you're saying the company is not loyal to you, it's not that way. What I said is your value addition must be at par with that company, so that if they lose you, they lose something. honestly, I don't think company can just wake up if they value so much and you are rendered jobless. They actually tie their values and mission, to their organizational values to the employee they have on board. So if at all you think you can go for business, this is what I tell my age mates and above. If
And you give them a lot of pressure, you know.
I'm sorry. If you are not so sure about anything, don't just go there for ego business that so and so is starting a business and I want to do. Currently we have the nail bar. A lot of guys have seen me there. I honestly will tell you that I don't know the nitty-gritty of that nail bar. Yeah, my partner knows. So if I am going to drop from her and start a nail bar somewhere else, I do not know how people are paid. I don't know people are paid. So what happens is I am only satisfying an ego. I only have a name. Yeah, but not the nitty-gritty of what it entails.
Okay.
So what you've said, again, not to disagree, but we define success differently at different levels, right? If myself as Frank, I'll sit back and feel that, being employed, to me that's success, so be it, right? Because that's your definition of success and it comes from different levels and, it depends on a number of people. But there's a book by the Jewish phenomenon, Steven Spielberg, I think, and
Tina, have you noticed you're sitting around readers?
Keep quoting books,
what Steven says, I think it's sometime in 1939, the Jews were very skillful, and what the Nazis did that time is they leveraged on the Jews' skills and capital to elevate themselves then. These guys felt like they were being honored because they want our capital, they want our skills and everything else, but once they got what they wanted,
They're done.
they're done and they leave, right? So yes, it is true. Let us go in, and employment, it's a good thing. I'm not against it because, I'm still employed.
Right.
All I'm saying is, while you're walking that journey, the way we define success, and even if you break it down to employment, we end up being tied with a lot of loans. Dennis will tell you, as probably the bankers love borrowers than people who save. Right? And I will tell you, the only place where a poor man and a wealthy man meet is in a bank. When the wealthy man is going to borrow and the poor man is going to save. And most people in employment
save his money. The rich man will take
and
it.
that's the only place they meet. Right? So when you get a fixated mindset of a salary based sometimes, and it's on a spiral, I think you'll have to define success your own way. But what you're saying is diversify.
Yes.
No, I just can't get over that. I just can't get over that because this is so crazy. The poor man prides himself in how much he has put in the bank.
Yes.
Not knowing that he's actually built some reserve for the rich man to borrow and go and do business with, then return that money over there. It's a crazy thing, man.
And you go back and pay him rent, and he's using your money to develop that house.
To build the rent. That's a nice one.
Right? Because look at it. Every time you put money in a bank, you're saving, it's a cost to the bank. Because they have to pay you an interest, being 1 or 2%. A million people, 1% is a lot. But every time you guys borrow, the interest is what, 13%?
Right.
When you borrow, even banks will be willing to give you overdrafts because they're making more from that. But there are people who just love, I'm telling you, there's a time in my life I'll go to the ATM just to put my card and see how much do I have? Okay. And then I go back and my money is still there. But not knowing that's a system, there's somebody behind the system using my money to develop something else.
So, Frank, if I got you right, you're going to say that you're worth how much money you circulate than how much you keep.
I mean, look at it from this perspective. When you keep money in a bank and it's not circulating, and let's take it to our relatives. If an emergency comes tomorrow, you'll not keep quiet and pretend you don't have money. And sometimes in our African tradition, you want to be the one giving a lot so that people know Frank contributed. Not knowing that, it's you. But you see, when you invest that money, you tell somebody, I don't have, but niko na kidogo. Let me give you this, but the other one is circulating.
Now, just that thing that you're raising, and I want to ask Tina, because Tina doesn't know whether to agree with you or not agree with you, because when it comes to matters of money. But Our values.
Yes.
Our values. You see, Frank has just raised that element of, okay, when there's an issue, so I want to look like I'm the one who gave the most.
Yes.
Does that affect how we do business as well? Because I'm trying to do business, then there's a funeral somewhere, and I need to give money. I'm going into the business. I'm pulling it out. Or there's something that I desire. I talked about the pressure that Cebbie gives, which I'll talk about. Because I see a lot of young people who, you know, they see 50,000 likes on Instagram.
Yeah.
My goodness, they feel like this girl is it.
Yeah.
But they don't know the story behind it. So they
Behind
feel
it,
like, I don't want to get a job. I want to do what Cebbie is doing. So they'll never get a job. They'll never get into something else. I'll talk about that later. But just talking about the values.
Yes.
Does that affect how we do business? Does it affect our financial discipline as well?
Definitely, because the values I hold as Tina will determine, number one, what kind of business I venture into, how I will run it, who I'll get to work with, and our day-to-day operations on it, just my values alone. So if I value my ego and how nice I look on some LinkedIn profile or some page somewhere with many likes, of course, it will determine whether I get into the fashion industry or I'll want to sell bread or something somewhere. But what these millennials need to understand is no business. There's so many things that are beyond your control that things are just never what they appear to be. So when you have the right values, you'll understand, okay, this is not working. I'll need to do this differently. Maybe this happened because of this, because, you know, your values give you some form of structure and something to always bank on and get back to when things don't necessarily go your way. So if there are any millennials watching thinking like, wow, this one is so cool, he drives this nice range, maybe I'll start that business and do it. Entrepreneurship is not easy. In fact, many people with a business will tell you how many times they wake up in the morning and think, I'm going to look for jobs now. This year. So many. And these are people who've run businesses for even 10, 15 years, who have seen profits come and go. So it is not easy. Don't just jump into it. And again, never forget who you are as you're doing it, like what you're saying. Because tomorrow, maybe giving someone a bribe for you might not be a big deal, but for somebody else, it's just off. There are people who just can't compromise on their integrity. Yeah. So if sincerely that is who you are, please always just stick to that value and build yourself slowly. And so you'll get where you're getting.
Here you have a potential partner.
Yeah.
You don't believe in bribing. It's a potential partner. Is very good at the things you're not good at.
Yes.
But they don't mind bribing. Then you have somebody else who holds the same values like you.
Yes.
They can bribe.
Yeah.
But then they don't bring into this business what the other guy would bring to you. They won't bribe, they're nice, but then they're not going to make for you the money. And these are the guy whose values are not in tandem with your values, are actually bringing, if I may put it, value into the business. Whom do you go for, Cebbie?
I think let us look at it this way. The diversity, you need the diversity, and again, the end goal.
Right.
What's the end goal? Whether this person is good in bribing and the other one does not, or still holds their value. I think I will go for both. To be honest, I will go for both because I'm looking at diversity. I'm looking at something new that I do not have in a partner. But what is their end goal? Where are we? The end justify the means. So where are we going for both of us? But however, if you want to hold on to your values, the two of you, that you're not going to bribe anything, and I am thinking that for my job, for me to get to point B, I'll have to bribe. I'm sorry to say I will.
Frank, talk about those, sometimes those values collide. And sometimes the things that were not obvious at the beginning. When you set out, you thought that you held the same values. And I know that entrepreneurship sometimes can also change people. As you keep on going, people who started just doing things in a certain way, as they keep on going, they realize this thing is so rough, it's so tough, they become somebody else. And so this partner that you started with probably 5-6 years ago has changed. They've become completely something else, and they tell you, but this is how business is done. You no longer agree on matters of values, but sometimes you have invested so much in the clients that you have. You share the clients. If you were to pull out of that, you totally have to start afresh. How do you go about that?
Well, I think first on the values and bribe. I mean, if you look at our system and being honest, not to be politically correct, most people go for the bribe. It's a quick fix. It's quick money and it's money that people want.
Disclaimer.
This
He's not holding forth from you, all right?
That's what I see, right?
Okay.
That's what we see out there. It's the truth. Because that's just what happens. Now, come to, there's something else you say, businesses are also made in the club. And I always say, why is it like we always have 5 people to drink with and we don't have any to do business with? Most of the time, if you look at our society, we always complain, but how is it like every Friday you have people you can drink with but zero to do business with? Now, I met this partner probably in a bar, and like you said, some businesses get forged in bars. Then you go in because the fundamental and the basis and the foundation of this was an idea, which is fine. But when you move that an idea, there's always a process, ideation, prototyping and everything else. Once it starts succeeding, that's the time you start need to put structures. People overlook because CJ is my friend.
We drink together.
Yeah, we drink together. That's a narrative. He's my boy. We drink together. So we're going to flow. But now when you go 5 years down the line, you start making money. Let me tell you, problem comes in when money starts checking in.
Right.
Initially, when you guys are making small, you're like, no, we are managing. You start hitting your millions or everything else. You realize CJ has 40%, I have 10%. CJ is never present. But CJ is like, Frank, I have 40%. Sometimes what happens is we've seen a number of companies collapsing because of what? CJ has 40%, but CJ is operational guy. Right? Frank has 10%, but he's a marketing guy. So we start sabotaging each other. Ideally, what these people should go back and do is, because your business is growing, people forget to grow themselves with the business. Educate yourself, go for seminars, go for short courses, call in other people to come and advise you. If it comes to the worst, split and let people go separate ways. It's never the easiest thing, but split. But we've seen people kill each other, take each other to court, and businesses dying. But it should never get to that point.
Tina.
Well, yeah, that is true. I agree with you because most partnerships people get into are never 50-50. Someone always has the upper hand, someone always knows more than the other. That's why I was emphasizing you need to do your research. You need to have structures and you need to have roles and responsibilities defined. And most importantly, you need to have an exit clause. Because, for example, myself, I'm a small-time entrepreneur. I go to my uncle like, oh, give me this 1 million to do my business, like, fine. But you have to give me shares. Like, okay, I'll pay you after so long. Now, what happens if 3 years down the line I'm making much more money than we had agreed? And you're right, he never shows up. I do all the work. I do all the marketing. It's me to get hurt. It's me to burn my fingers.
How do we protect ourselves right from that place? Because
exit clause.
you see, you are at a place where you're probably very vulnerable.
Yes.
You're this young person who has these ideas, and then your uncle has the money. You actually need it.
You do.
Then they say, give me some shares. Innit? You need the money. And if I get this money, pump this capital into this, the business will go to the next stage. You don't want to go to the bank because probably they will not listen to you much. You don't know who else to call. So it's like you have been somehow blackmailed into a partnership at that particular point. Is there a way that these young people can actually protect themselves at that particular point?
Definitely, and that's why these agreements are important from the word go.
Right.
This young person needs to have a milestone and a projection of how the work will flow throughout his business. To know, like, by end of year 1, I should have made this much to be able to pay this one. Else he'll always be on the losing position. What if by end of year 1 I need to borrow more money? So what happens in year 3 if I make double the money that was even invested? You'll always be at the losing position. So you as the borrower need to have thoroughly done your research, thoroughly had your structures well defined and your milestones and your progressions so that you don't get into this mess, because very many people do.
To add on top to what Tina is saying, I think you also need to define the kind of partnership you're going for, and also look at the roadmap of your business towards the exit clause that she was mentioning. Most of the time we don't look at the wrong side. We always focus more on the good side of we want to do business forever until death do us part. We don't think of, by the way, anything else can happen on the way, on our way. So we need to get to what Tina says as well, as we define the kind of partnership we are coming in for and the roadmap.
I think I would disagree
It's okay.
in a very nice way.
Yes.
No, just go ahead.
I always say that if you're not an owner, you're an outsider.
All right.
Yeah.
All right? And truth be told, yes, I mean, what you're saying is what is ideally supposed to happen. But if you go to the real world, it's not what is happening. If you're not the owner, my friend, you're an outsider. If I'm bringing in money and I'm going to control 60%, and that is a cash value you're bringing in, and the other value also has to be well defined, right? What is typically happening now is the millennials or the young ones, they don't even know how to do the exit clauses. They don't even know who do I start, because these people are just desperate, they want to start something. And the moment they get somebody who's willing to put in money,
Yes.
remember you have experience, you have the money. So they'll not even think of anything else. Their excitement will, I've gotten a sponsor, a partner who
Yes.
I'm partnering with,
Yes.
I'm going into this deal. This guy probably is a shark or whatever it is. Him is going in and, so CJ, what I'm saying is, you know, regardless, as much as people go in and we want to think of the exit clauses sometimes, we realize later that I needed an exit clause.
That's true.
Because at the point I'm starting, if you tell me you're giving me money and I start telling you, no, CJ, I need an exit clause first, I'll be like, then go away. No,
Yeah,
it's okay, come,
that's
come,
true.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it is, we need to look at it from the perspective of, in a way, this is how these things are happening. But I'll go back and say, every time you want to go into entrepreneurship or partnership, develop yourself.
Okay.
Right? Go and try to align with self-minded people, different people, so that you can also be well informed. You might go into this partnership now, but my friend, as it grows, try to get areas on how you can grow yourself, understand, and talk to people who've been there separately, apart from the person you're investing with, to know what are some of the things I need to start looking out for.
At what point, then, it's like you preempted what I was going to ask. At what point, Cebbie, for somebody who's beginning, at what point do you think they should start seeking partnerships? Because, for example, if I'm doing something, so I'm doing CJ Scott, and then somebody says, you know, I want to pump in this money, or you've got this media company that's saying, can we have this? And you take it in and you feel like that's a huge platform for me. Then when you get in, you realize they totally are changing your concept and whatever you wanted to do, but you're at a point of disadvantage already. Should I have taken longer to build me and then later on brought in a partner, even if I didn't have the money? Should I take longer building me in what I am doing so that when the person comes in with the money, they find I am running something? Or should I just, at the onset when I have an idea, bring in somebody because they have the money?
I think Frank said it before, and I would still echo the same, that first understand yourself. Understand the kind of business you want to do and have the roadmap. And she said, do your research. So honestly, if you combine all these things, then whoever is coming on board, you shall have also known what you want them to do. If you have an idea and you want someone else to sponsor your idea, the thing is, do you understand the journey? Yeah, are you able to work with them? Because I don't think I'll tell you an idea today and you just want to throw. I want to know the profits. I want to know how you're going to work. So make sure that you understand your idea really well, because idea is just a structure. This is also the journey now. So make sure you understand your idea and understand the journey before bringing someone else. It doesn't matter. I don't think it really matters at what level. If I understand what I am doing at this moment, as the CEO of Virtual 21, I wouldn't mind bringing anybody because I know the journey. I am the one with the key.
Okay.
Yeah. So you bring your money, but I'm the one with the key.
But there are people who have done that and they lost their companies.
Yes.
Eventually,
Yes.
they were actually kicked out
Yes.
of the very companies that they founded because somebody came in, and as the company kept on growing, they realized they were having less and less say in that, and they were pushed out.
Yes. That could happen, but you know, sometimes you have an idea that is so big, even you know you can't run it by yourself.
Okay.
Like, you know, I'd like to do this is the long-term goal, this is the short-term goal, but you know, even you within yourself, I could never handle it, I could never manage it.
Yeah.
More people need to come on board. That reality is there. And the business world, you know how it is. It's very wicked. So many things beyond your control. This works today, this doesn't work tomorrow. Same, yeah.
It's dynamic.
So there's so many things to it, like you are not in control of so many things. So sometimes you really have no choice but to let someone have the upper hand over you.
Yeah.
But if it's another thing, when you're starting a business, that's something you're passionate about. Why? Because that gives you the drive to do it tomorrow. Like even tomorrow when you're kicked out of your company, you know, I'll open another one and do it better, you know. Just, yeah, have the drive with it.
It's interesting. I mean, I think passion can take you so far.
Yeah.
You don't have money, then you stay with your passion. It's good to be passionate.
That's true.
You have to be passionate.
That's true.
We live in a world where if there's no money to drive that passion, then a different story comes in. But also, the thing I wanted to add, I think I just lost my thought. There's something she's saying. I think it's
Disappeared.
All right.
something she's saying.
We'll get it as we go.
Yeah.
Let's talk about when this business is in a family setup. It's a husband and it's a wife, or it's two people who are courting, you know,
Yeah.
and they decided, man, they were so in love, they just thought, well, we need to do business together, or they're a husband and a wife. And I was having a discussion earlier on with one of my friends of this, and he said how at one point he had to call his wife to the table for them to have a business meeting, and he said, I'm the chairman, you're the CEO. How do you do this? How do you do this with people that you really have a soft spot for, that you're trying to balance between the structure and how you feel about each other?
Okay.
Cebbie's shaking her head.
I wouldn't have a
For
word.
me, I think you really need to have a lot of emotional intelligence when you're doing some things, because some things are just what they are. This is my husband, there's a way we relate. There's no I'll call him boss tomorrow morning. Forget it. Even if we have 50 employees, it's just the reality of things.
Yeah.
But if I have emotional intelligence to understand this is a workplace, we need to operate like this way to progress in this way, I'll be able to address him in the right way for us to move forward the right way. But emotional intelligence is something that takes building, something that takes time. Yeah, so maybe if we can work on that, it would. Yeah.
I want to pick up on a question. And
I just wanted to add on that. When it comes to, I think when it comes to family businesses, we've seen a lot of successful companies, and I want to say maybe to our Indians friends, not to sound racist or whatever it is, but if you see most of these people, you go to a shop, a spare parts shop, you get an old mzee seated behind, there's a young boy in front who's serving you and everything else. Tomorrow if it's not the old mzee, it's the wife and somebody else is there. These are things that they built and cultivated a long time ago. You see there is so-and-so and sons, right? So we've seen a number of these that are working. I don't know if it's just something that affects us as Africans. I don't know. But if you look at it, CJ, maybe from our perspective, we like being. There's another post that I put on my Brutal Fact, where in a family, if you don't have money and you want to give an opinion or something, you feel like you're causing confusion.
That's true.
Because you don't have money, right?
Yeah.
So I think, yes, it can work.
Right.
And when it comes to husband and wife, we might probably, if you're religious, you might take it now back to the scriptures where a man is always the foundation and you have to anchor everything from that point in time. When your wife is coming in, my friend, you always have to remember there are some values that you anchor in from a religious perspective. And if the man continues to lead as the way it is in the Bible, I think they should be fine.
All right, but I'm going to take a question. I'm not very sure. Cebbie is glad that I'm not taking the question to her. What can one do when they're already in partnership and after a period of time it seems not to be working? You're not able to run the daily business operation smoothly and you feel that you're stifled or held at ransom. That's what you talked about, having an exit clause?
Yes, there's the exit clause, but again, dialogue, communication.
That's true.
You know, you don't disagree in the morning and in the afternoon you think, yeah, I think you should pack up and leave. No. even in the workplace, you do get into conflict a lot with each other. So dialogue. And again, banking on the structures you had set before.
All right. That was from Quebec. Then there is Reynard, who is asking, at some point, change is inevitable. So what if the company changes and you find it hard to change and you have to be kicked out? Then you have to be kicked out, right?
There you go.
That's it.
Kicked out. You're gone.
It means you're doing nothing with yourself. You're
There's
not.
no way around it. And to you, it should be a lesson. Why was I kicked out? If things are changing.
You're the problem.
Why was I kicked out in the first place? Is it because of my skills? Is it because of I'm a small shareholder? Is it because, the reason is, when you go into that partnership, every other time, you just need to ask yourself, what value are you putting on the table?
You now, just going on that, Cebbie, if we are two partners, I'm your partner, and then there are people that when we started, mostly again, people sometimes will employ other family or friends, people that they feel like, at least I know this guy, I know this, they won't expect too much from me, so I can bring them on board. Then you do the same. The company begins to grow. At some point, these people that I brought in, or the people you brought in, are no longer bringing value. Then one of the partners feels, this guy is not adding any value, but I am sentimentally attached to this person. You feel like this employee needs to go. I am a partner. This person is adding no value. I'm feeling like, you're targeting my people. How do we work around that kind of a thing in business?
I think the best thing to do is to have a dialogue, as Tina said. And again, we also need to separate emotions from the business. It's business and the person is not adding value. So why would a company stick to a person just because he's your other person? You see, there are two different things here. The person is emotionally attached to you.
Right.
He's not emotionally attached to the business.
All right.
Yes. So what you need to do is, what is the value addition that this person is bringing? Okay, the value addition ends at your side as CJ, but not to the company, unless there is a conflict of interest. But if there's no conflict of interest, then the value addition that is coming to my partner is not the same value addition that is coming to my company. Therefore, the dialogue should be on the basis of you are going.
All right.
Yes.
Is that easy, Frank?
No, it's not. And this is why.
Yeah.
Most often what happens is you start a company and the next person calls you is your mom. Hey, Frank, I know you have this, you employ this guy.
Right?
Yeah.
And it started, right? And out of that good heart, you talk to your partner and say, but you see, this is my law. So you just bring this. And this person also says, I also have somebody. When it is starting, it is easier for guys to say that, right?
Yeah.
Because, like I said, maybe the income is not really coming in. And at some point, it's even cheap labor.
Yeah.
When it starts growing is when you realize the skill sets you wanted for this company, these people you brought on board, are not delivering. It's time to have difficult conversations. One, retrench. Two, train them, or you hope you're training them when they're going up. Or three, just have a conversation because I say, you know what, if you cannot, but ideally what you should do as the owner of the business is train these people and let them grow into it.
That's true.
And if they're not able to meet to that point, it's gone. But truth be told, we do that every day. We employ cousins, we employ friends. And sometimes it's because it's cheap labor and,
Even
later,
free, emotional.
yes, later it catches up with us.
And sometimes when you sack the person, this is a case way
Oh,
back to the
Lord.
family.
It's a family case.
It's the most craziest thing.
You see Jay now, you sack so and so.
Before I lose my trail of thought, when Frank talked about how Indians are doing really well, I think what we miss, the successful businesses that are doing well, the family businesses, are actually hinged to business indoctrination, the belief from the word go. You see, in our cases, especially where I come from, we don't believe so much in safety in numbers.
Where is that you come from?
I mean, I don't want to say Africans because of the Black Lives Matter over. So I'm just trying to be there. Safety in numbers, we don't believe so much in that. So therefore, if you're rich, we call them jatelo. So, we cannot be all jatelos. Yeah, jatelo can only be me. So I wouldn't want to bring other people next to me to be on the same page. And especially if he was talking about brutal facts that in a family, whoever has money, whether you're the most irrational, your decision is final.
Your idea is
right?
the best.
Your idea is the best. You in fact, you cop everybody's stance. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is what I think the Indians actually learnt before. That, you know what, we need to start building this thing. That's why even in their shops, you'll find very young kids around there.
Yeah.
Can you try going to your father's shop as an African?
Generally, Africans hide wealth till
Yes.
they
Yeah,
die.
till they die. Yeah.
Till they die. That's when you hear your father had something somewhere in
Yes.
Coconut.
Yes. And mostly I've seen guys, big names around my home area, that whenever someone dies in this homestead, then the riches also, they say, amekufa na mali yake. Mali yake wapi? It's completely that he did not actually he did not orient other people. He did not
Yes.
grow with you guys. He was just buying lands everywhere and probably putting women there. Then before you know it, in your burial, you are 20 and different, and you don't know his wealth. It's because of the orientation, the societal orientation that we have as Africans,
Yes.
vis-a-vis what the Indians have. They believe so much in safety in numbers.
All right.
Yeah.
There is Vincent who is asking, how can you ensure that the business you have grown will live beyond the founders?
I think it's the way you structure the culture around your company. Like what you were saying, you grow your employees, you train them, you have repercussions for who doesn't do their work and all that. But most importantly, you need to set out the culture of the organization in terms of work ethic. You know, when there's a certain culture in a certain organization that you work for, everybody tends to conform. And as you grow, as new people come in, everyone just emulates that. So when you have that, you set a structure for continuity. And then other than that, you need to have structures that allow your business to grow to the next level, to the next phase, so that you're not always in the comfort zone. You guys are always striving to grow and to grow and to grow. So that means even the day you're not there, the business has driven so much synergies within itself and within the ecosystem it survives in, and most importantly, within the people it has, so that it's easy to continue. That's what I think.
I mean, great minds have purpose, and mild minds just have wishes, right? And I think for you, when you start thinking of growing a business beyond the founders, it will be anchored on some things we call shareholders agreements and everything else. I believe that's the time when your business has already grown to a certain point, and you're thinking, if you want to think beyond, it's all about vision.
Okay.
Where do you see your business going in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years time? I mean, look at what one of the cafes in Kenya did. They started some time back. 15 years later, they sold it. They made their billions. They remained with few percent in the company, and they're still there. But other people are running it beyond them. So it's more about the vision. Where do you see yourself moving to? We've seen international companies live alone, even living beyond the founders. The founders are still there, and they've been kicked out, and the businesses are running. Why were they able to do that? Because they were anchored into some constitution. If we see you steering the company outside the vision that we are thinking of, despite being the founder, we can still kick you out. So there has to be vision, there has to be plan, and you have to look ahead.
So why would I start this company and then you kick me out, man? Don't you think that's why some people fear the structures? Because they're afraid that if they put up certain structures, they will strengthen some people enough for those guys to kick them out, and they're thinking, I started this thing in 1974. This is all I've ever done.
Well, risk is a personal appetite, right?
And the guy's driving that thing nowhere.
No,
but
it's
he's
true.
just thinking like, there's no way I'm empowering other people here.
Since risk is a personal appetite,
Yeah.
and the people who dream this and people who dream that, and the people who have big dreams and you have big risk appetite, they'll not fear going through that vision because they're seeing a bigger picture.
Okay.
They're seeing, if I bring these people and there are these structures and everything is going on, the company is going to be bigger. The company is bigger than myself, right? But somebody who has a small risk appetite will be so much conformed to it is a mine mentality, and they'll not really grow. Again, we are not saying it is wrong, but it just depends on how wide is your risk appetite in terms of growing a business.
Just in line with that, this is Reinhard again. How do you handle when your journey partner happens to have more skills than you or invested more money but you're the one who started the business. So how you handle that? You can't kick them out. Okay, I need to get that question properly, but I think what he's trying to bring out is that when this person now begins to act in a manner that is not good for the business, you started it. They have more skills, or they have more money. Who are you, first of all, in that business? Cebbie,
Yeah.
who are you in such kind of a business? If they have more skills. You started it, but they have more skills. Who are you in that business?
I think this idea of I started the business is we should forget about it. People sell ideas. If you're not going to grow with this business, or if you're not going to be anybody, then you sell the idea, get your money and walk away. Because we have people who can actually just sit down and dream. So then you don't need to be in that business. You just need to sell that money and pick your money and start thinking for another business and sell it so that.
And have the business of creating stuff.
Yeah.
All right. So generally, now because we need to just conclude, we can't get into every aspect of this. Normally, when we come to the show, we just have a glimpse here and there, but help people to have the conversations that would help them make better decisions concerning their lives as well. But generally, in closing, I'll start with you, Tina.
Yes.
Here I am. I want to start, or I'm going, or I am already in partnership. 2-3 things that I need to consider.
Communication is key. Your documentation is key. Understanding your roles and responsibilities is key. And finally, having an exit clause or where you know you'll be running is key. Good luck. It will work out in the end.
Okay. All right.
I think for me, timing is critical in everything. And as you get into entrepreneurship and as you get into business, Warren Buffett says there are only 2 rules when it comes to money. Rule number 1 is never lose a single coin. Rule number 2 is never forget rule number 1, right? So as you go into business and everything else, try have your own principles, try have your own, values and things that you believe in. Again, the other one is, as we were talking about business partnerships, it is okay, but also we have sole proprietors that really people do so well.
Right.
And that's where you'll come and see when people are compared between eagles and swans or ducks, right? Eagles fly against the storm, the swans and the ducks, what they do is they quack and they do the same thing in the same swamp, in and out, right? They don't face any challenges. So you need to know from yourself, where do you want to be? You don't really need to get into a business partnership. You can start as sole proprietor, and as long as you know how to manage your finances, you know where you want to go. When your business grows, you can now start looking at like-minded partners, because when you go to the table, my friend, you know what you're putting on the table, right? I am Frank from, and I'm building. So it doesn't have to start from a partnership sometimes. Start from your small business or proprietorship and then move in. But just remember always, as an entrepreneur, the 2 things you need to have, my friends. Rule number 1, never lose a single coin. Rule number 2, never forget rule number 1. Thank you.
All right.
They said everything I would say, but again, apart from that, if you're going into entrepreneurship, another thing you need to think about is networking. You have to network. You have to meet different people with different ambitions. Actually, you'll realize that there are people who think the way you think. Whatever comes to your mind, someone else have thought about it. So you really need to meet these people and put your thoughts together. Make sure that each and every person you're meeting, you're coming out with something from them, something to learn about your business or how to define yourself. And secondly, look at your passion, the inner drive, what you don't sleep. Actually, if you think about it more than 3 times and you don't get sleep, then go for it.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, generally, entrepreneurship is not a walk in the park, but it is possible. Sometimes people, you look at the glamour about it, and you feel like you want to do it. Or sometimes it's just pressure. Everybody's saying, look, you must start something. And this season, like COVID-19, there are a lot of people who are feeling the pressure to begin something so that they can look like, they started something within that season. People say learn something new, read a book, get a course online or something, or start a business. And there are people who really feel, all I can do right now is start a business, and they don't even know how to go about that. So most of them will find that the easiest way for them, or they will think the easiest way for them is to get into partnership. But as you have heard from the panel today, it's some work as well that you need to put into that partnership. It's not just going to be, I have money, you have an idea, let's go. Or I have an idea, give me your money, then let's go. Everything that will succeed is going to require work. And so if you don't like the work, you don't get into it. You will have to learn, you will have to grow, you'll have to put structure, you will have to make difficult decisions, you will have difficult conversations. The whole journey is just a whole ride. Well, it's been a blessing and a joy to have you watching us today and joining on. Well, if you have any other question or something else that you want us to tackle on the CJ's Court, the number is on your screen right over there, +2547215561559, and you can send us a message and let us know. Or if you want to get the contacts, at least I know two of them are very visible on social media. Cebbie is very visible over there on, especially Instagram, right?
And Facebook.
Yeah, and Facebook.
Yeah.
How come I've not stumbled into you on Facebook? I know the Instagram part. And then Frank, I know both. No, actually, even on Twitter as well. Tina is not on Instagram.
I'm there, but I'm not anyway.
Yeah, but if you want to just get in touch with any one of them, you could get in touch with us, or just follow them on social media, and you will find them there and talk to them about the questions that you have. A lot of wealth of knowledge and experience as well from all of them. Well, from here, this is all the time that we had. You want to sow into what we are doing and be a support to what we're doing. Again, the numbers are on your screen right there. Next Saturday we'll be focusing on the Father's Day, because next week Sunday we will have the Father's Day. So next Saturday we'll be talking about fatherhood a little bit, and I'll have an interesting panel here as well. Hope you've been blessed, hope that you have been sharpened, hope that your time has been spent well. Till next Saturday on the CJ's Court. See you. And we want to say to the Lord today, glory, glory, hallelujah, God Almighty, you are faithful to the end.
Glory, hallelujah, God Almighty, you are faithful.
Say it again.
Glory, hallelujah,
God Almighty.
God Almighty, you are faithful to the end.
You have all power and all wisdom. You have all riches. You reign in majesty, created all things, and you were
King of the first and the Lord of
eternal God,
eternal God and the great I am.
seated in heaven.
Seated in heaven, but ruling the earth. You have all power
And all wisdom.
and all wisdom. You have all riches.
You reign in majesty,
Reign in majesty, created all things, and you
King of the flood, eternal God,
eternal God and the great I am.
seated in heaven. Glory, glory, hallelujah,
Hallelujah,
Almighty,
God Almighty,
you are faithful.
faithful to the end. Glory, glory,
Hallelujah, God Almighty,
God Almighty,
you are faithful.
faithful to the end.
Second verse.
Your word is true,
Changes not
changes not. You are
and eternal, author of salvation,
salvation, magnificent
King of the flood, eternal God, seated in heaven, King of the flood, eternal God, seated in heaven, you are King of the flood, eternal God, seated in heaven.